Hey, wait a minute. Oh, I have to change my fan, don't I? This one's gonna be noisy. I don't need no stinking fan. All right. No, I'm just gonna stall for a minute. Oh, I totally need a fan. Where's my fan? Oh, there's a fan. Oh, I love this fan. It's got such a big thing, and I can eat and everything. And it's super quiet. Let's plug that sucker in. Oh, yeah. There's some nice fan. Hey, look. A fan just showed up. All right, you got one person here. How are you doing, one person? Oh, two people here. Okay. Oh, it's Joe Blow. How you doing, man? Have you been having coffee, or is that hot chocolate? Hot chocho. All right. I've got a new shirt today. Huh? Hey, Ken Wasiki's doing great. And Alex Bell. Is Alex Bell a boy's name or a girl's name? I never know with Alex. Ken is pretty obvious. Although it could be Kendra. Who knows? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Oh yes, my shirt is quite fancy, eh? Oh, so nice, so nice. And it's not dirty. Alex is in fact a boy. I would have guessed that actually, because most of the people here are boys, which is totally fine. So yesterday I painted this shirt, and one of the neighbor kids was over visiting for the day, hanging out with my kids. You know, they were playing all day, and I painted my shirt like this, and I ran over and showed it to my kids, and I was like, "Hey kids, check out my shirt!" And they're like, "Well, cool man, And this neighbor kid goes, "Well, it used to be a nice shirt." He's like, "Why did you put paint all over it? You wrecked it. Now it's like," I'm like, "Now it's mine." Because before it was just some factory shirt. Anyway, I'm gonna get used to this. Fix my thing. Okay, so what was I gonna talk about today? I did think of something. So let me start with a little story. Kids are so funny. Kids are hilarious. Okay, so once upon a time, I was renovating this house with the, oh, hello from Scotland. Anyway, once upon a time, I was renovating this house with a friend, and we're doing everything. And at one point, we're standing in the kitchen, and we'd already torn out everything in the kitchen, like right down to the drywall, and I'd just gotten the walls back in, and my friend is standing there, and it's his job. It's not my job. Not job. It's the house. It's his house that he's working on. So I'm just there helping out, right? So he's standing there and he's like, "Oh, all right. I guess we got to get a kitchen in here." And I'm like, "Well, the store said the stuff will be here in a month or so. They had to order some of the parts, whatever." He's like, "All right, yeah. Like, what are we gonna do for a month or so?" And I was like, "Well, it's in the middle of the summer. Let's just go outside and use the hose. We don't need a kitchen. We're just working all day anyway. It's not like we're inviting people over or whatever." He's like, "Yeah, but I don't want to live like a hobo or something. I gotta make some kind of temporary kitchen here." So I'm like, "All right." So I go off and I start working on other parts of the house, because there's we're doing everything. And he spends the next 3 days building this temporary countertop. He uses a sheet of plywood and a half and a bunch of 2x4s, and he reinstalls the old sink in that. And he didn't have to pay for the old sink, but he had to buy some plumbing supplies to plumb it back in. And 3 days, and he's got this serviceable kitchen. And he's like, there we go. Now we've got a kitchen, and this is great. And so we use the kitchen for the next month and a half, and finally all the stuff for the real kitchen shows up. And we get to the point where we've kind of finished up enough other projects that we're like, all right, now we're ready to start something. Let's start on the kitchen. So we go into the kitchen, and the first thing we do is like, well, we got to take out this temporary kitchen. And as we're prying it away from the wall with crowbars, I look at him and I say, wait, how much money did you spend on this? And he looks at me and goes, oh, you don't want to know. And I just kind of, I guess I had a look on my face. And he's like, look, man, I know you thought we should just like use a bucket and the hose outside for the last month and a half. But like, you know, I mean, what would you have done here? I'm like, yeah, I would have just not bothered wasting resources on a temporary thing that we're just going to rip out anyway. Like, why don't we just, you know, just use what we've got and not worry about it and save our energy for the final thing. But he's like, yeah, but if you always kind of, you know, just kind of use whatever's around and never make something decent, then you're always just like in this situation where you're always just compromising and you're just surrounded by not the right stuff, and it's like living like a homeless person all the time. So I said to him, okay, look, remember like 6 months ago we were at that pizza place getting milkshakes and pizza? And he's like, oh yeah, I know the place you're talking about. And I was like, you asked me a question then. And he's like, I might remember this. And I'm like, let me just remind you. So the question was, you said, hey, Jaimie, how do you keep getting so much stuff done? Because, you know, it doesn't, I know you work real hard, but it doesn't seem like you do that much more than me in a day. But then like a year or two goes by and you'll have all this stuff done and I'll be almost in the same place I was. I don't get it. Like I feel like I'm doing a lot, but I don't know what's going on. And at the time, I tried to explain to him, and I'm saying, you know, when I tried to explain it, I couldn't really get the answer across in a way that you really understood, and I didn't really understand how to explain it. And do you remember I said that at some point in the future, something will happen, and I'll say, this is why, and this is why right here. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, this is why you're not making as much progress as me. It's because you're putting resources into things that don't matter. So you put a whole bunch of time and energy and money into this temporary kitchen that we were just going to rip out anyway. And he's like, well, yeah, but it's just like one thing that was like 3 days. And, you know, I mean, it was a few $100s, but like, I mean, it's just one thing. Like, so I started listing things, the temporary stairs over there, the temporary this, the temporary that. And I'm like, how many days did you spend on this? How many days did you spend on that? How many days did you spend on that? How many days did you spend on that? And he's just like, all right, I got it. Okay. So you don't put energy into things that aren't going to be like permanent things. And I'm like, more specifically, don't put energy into things that don't matter. Don't go all out on something that doesn't matter. Save your energy for something that does matter. For instance, and this applies to a lot of different things. So like, you know, when you bought those 2 table saws, and he's like, oh yeah, those 2 table saws. Yeah, that first one was crap. And I was like, yeah, but you knew it was crap when you bought it. Why did you buy it? And he's like, well, I just needed a table saw quick and it was cheap. And I was like, yeah, but you could have bought the more expensive one that you knew would last when you bought the cheaper one. And he's like, yeah, but like, it was more expensive, man. And so I'm like, but you ended up buying the more expensive one anyway. And he's like, well, yeah, because the other one broke. So I had to get something. I didn't want to get another one that was going to break. And I'm just like, dude, look at the big picture here. If you just bought the more expensive one at the beginning, you would have just bought that one, not bought 2. You wouldn't have had to spend the time and energy and the money to go get this one, and now you wouldn't have this piece of garbage that you have to deal with. You could have just gotten the better one. And he's like, okay, I get what you're saying. So like the moral of the story here is that if you want to make progress and you want to be able to build on top of that progress and like, you know, make big changes in your life, don't try to make them quick. Don't try to make them make things happen as fast as you can. Don't go for the short-term gains. Don't waste your time and energy and money and resources on that stuff. Save your resources for things that are going to matter in the future, for things that are longer term. And this applies to big things, small things, tiny little things. I grew up, I'm not going to say who this was because I don't want to embarrass anyone, but I grew up with someone who would lose her keys every day. And it was probably like, I don't want to overestimate, but she probably spent like an hour every day, at various times in the day, running around the house. Where the are my keys? Just tearing things apart, knocking things over that she would then have to clean up later, and just, where are my keys? Where are my keys? Because the fastest way to put down your keys is just put them down wherever you are and not think about it. Just put them down. It's the fastest way to do it. You're instantly done with the keys. Then you can move on. The problem is, then it takes you like half an hour, 20 minutes or whatever to find them because you don't know where you put them. They could be anywhere. But if you just took the extra 4.5 seconds to walk over to where the keys go, the key spot, you put them there, then you don't have to waste all that time later looking for the keys. So put the energy into the part that matters. Put the keys where they go. Don't save your energy for when you're going to have to fix what you screwed up by just not paying attention. Another example is back in the day, many moons ago, many years ago, they used to make stone houses. Brick houses, stone houses, houses made out of masonry, right? A stone, and this is basically the story of the Three Little Pigs. But basically, if you make a stone house, 1,000 years later, the stone house is still there. Maybe some parts will be knocked over, something smashed into it, but it's basically all still there. Like if someone's doing even a reasonably decent job of taking care of it, and there's no volcanoes exploding or whatever, the stone house will still be there. But in modern day society, people want things done quicker. We want instant gratification, right? So today people are building wood houses, often on not even very good foundations because they rushed the foundation and then they built the house out of wood, usually not even that good wood, because now we grow trees too fast so they don't grow strong, but we grow them really fast so we can use them up and throw them out and cut more and just use them, use everything up as fast as possible. And that means people buy houses today, and before they've even paid off their mortgage, the house is falling apart. It's full of termites, it's got rot, the drywall's getting cracks in it because everything is warping and twisting, and it's just... So even though you can build a house much more quickly with wood, if you take the time to build a masonry house, it's going to outlast the wood house by such a huge amount of time that it'll end up being less time and effort and work in the long run, because you won't have to rebuild the house. You won't have to do the constant maintenance of fixing the wood and replacing all this stuff all the time. So yeah, today I'm basically talking about how to make progress with things in your life and not just get stuck. I'm going to make progress in centering myself in this thing a little better. It's weird because, the tablet's got the camera on the side, but the screen's in the middle. The screen's in the middle, but the camera's on the side. Anyway, so if you want to make good progress and you want to keep making progress in your life, put your energy into the things that matter, the things that are going to last. That way you don't end up wasting all your time and energy doing maintenance and repairs and replacing things constantly. Because so often in our modern society, we choose to do the thing that's going to be quickest, to get the fastest quick result. But then we end up with a life just surrounded by things that are falling apart all the time. And I know so many people who talk about this. They're just like, my house is falling apart. Everything in my house is falling apart. I feel like I'm just constantly running around doing maintenance. Oh my gosh. And then I'm always like, oh, that sucks, man. And they're like, well, how do you deal with it? And I'm like, I don't have maintenance. I have very little maintenance because I take longer to build everything in the first place, or I'll wait until I have enough money to buy the thing that's going to last, or whatever. I always try to do the thing that's going to not need the maintenance in the future. And a perfect example I'm always going on about is like my stainless steel wheelbarrow and my stainless steel shovels. Oh my God, I love those things. And I've had them for years. When I first when I first got here to Central America, I'm living in the ocean. I'm living on islands. There's salt water everywhere. Even if you're pretty careful, at some point, salt's going to drip onto whatever tools you have if you're using them outside. So I was going through maybe one shovel every 4 months at the beginning because I was just buying shovels, which is the quickest and easiest way to get a shovel. You want a shovel, just go buy a shovel. It's like $10, $15 or whatever it is. And I'd be very careful not to break the handle or snap it or anything, but then it would just rust to the point where it's just falling apart. And then finally I was like, all right, I need to do whatever I need to do to make whatever, some stainless steel shovels. So I made some stainless steel shovels. Actually, first I bought some, but the handles were not stainless. But I used some of the parts. Anyway, I ended up making stainless steel shovels. And I've been using those things for years, and I leave them outside, and they're fine, and they're basically in the exact same condition as when I got them. And the same with my wheelbarrow. I drive my wheelbarrow. I take my wheelbarrow everywhere. I take it on the boat. I take it to town. It gets salt water on it. The wheel is not stainless. I'm going to have to replace that at some point, although I just try to keep the salt water off it. But people in town now know me by this stainless steel wheelbarrow that I wheel around town when I'm going to all the stores and picking up all my stuff, which is great, by the way. Man, taking a wheelbarrow with you when you go shopping, like food shopping, is, to carry all these stupid bags, just throw it all in the wheelbarrow. But I've had this same wheelbarrow for years, and I've seen other people go through wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow, and there's just these rusted messes. And, it's just like one stainless steel wheelbarrow is going to cost less than 30 cheap ones, All right, I think I've gone on enough about that. How you guys doing this week? Let's see what people are saying here. Oh, I'm going to use this finger. Hey, it's Neil from Homestead. Hello, Neil. And there's someone from Scotland. Hello, Jaimie. I always look forward to seeing your creative projects. Your new home is looking great. Oh, I love this place. Yeah. Like when you have an idea in your head, and I've mentioned this before because this has happened several times on projects I've made. But when you have an idea in your head, and you're like, this is going to be an amazing thing if I make this. It's going to be really awesome. But then, you actually make it, and it's generally not as amazing as it was in your head. But sometimes it is. And like my house, oh my God. Like I thought this place was going to be amazing when I was building it. That's why I put so much energy into it. It took me like a year to build this place. Oh, let me talk about that for a second. Back to the stories about putting your energy and thinking about long-term versus short-term. So sometimes when people find out about my house and they've they see it and they're like, whoa, you built that yourself? And I'm like, yeah, it took me a year of real hard labor and blah, blah. And then, another year of, doing all the digging and everything. It was like 2 years of like hard work and I'm really happy with it. They're like, well, why didn't you just buy something? It'd be way, way faster. Then I'll look at them and be like, how many years is your mortgage? Oh, snap. I bet it's not 2. Anyway. So I built this place, and I've been living in it for almost a year, I guess, and so happy with it, so satisfying. I love this place. It's just if you've never built your own house, you should do it. And don't do it the way other people want you to do it. Like, build the thing that you really think you want to build, like the thing that you want to live in, because then actually living in it, it's just a totally different experience than living in some kind of prefabricated box, like all the houses in the world that are just kind of standard issue, drywall, vinyl, 2x4s. Man, when you make something that's yours, it just feels like this is, it's like part of me, like I'm bigger, like the world isn't encroaching on me. Like when I'm in here, it's like this big Jaimie. It's like this big Jaimie space I get to be in. Okay, let's see what else. He had something else to say. Okay, the dragon tiles is a cool feature. Yeah, I'm really happy with the dragon tiles too. I know I'm only like halfway finished them, but they already look super cool. They're gonna look really cool when I get it all the way done up to the top. Although I slowed down on that just because, you know, I work on it when the weather's convenient, which is much less frustrating than trying to get it all done quickly when the weather makes it more difficult. Hyperfocus. You know, I have to ask about the fart machine progress. Would be a really cool video. Yes, I've done nothing with the fart machine progress. Okay, he's talking about like a methane producer that takes all the waste from the house. You know, all the plumbing goes into this big tank, and then it's got an overflow into another tank so that the first tank can build up gas pressure and push the sludge and stuff into the overflow tank, and that way the overflow tank can put pressure back. So if you actually use some of the air, some of the gas in here, that second tank just keeps going down, and this takes up the space and it keeps pressure on the gas. So it's supposed to make methane in there. And supposedly if I connect the pipe to it, you know, I can connect it to a stove or whatever uses methane and power it. I have not tried it yet though. I've got the thing like basically made. I just need to connect the pipe to it and test it really. If I was in more dire need of a methane stove or something, I'd probably get on it faster. But I usually cook on, well, I guess I always cook. Here, I always cook on a wood fire. And, you know, I have a pretty nice stainless steel, like rocket stove, you know, just the insulated tube stove thing. And it's insulated with fiberglass that was like leftover fiberglass from something, and some insulation from the door of a stove. Like, it's a pretty good little thing. So it doesn't use that much wood to cook and everything. It works pretty efficiently. Although I also will occasionally throw like little pieces of something, like a piece of wet wood or a chunk of a coconut husk or something there to make a bit of smoke. And this is one of the nice things about cooking with fire when you're in the wilderness. A bit of smoke keeps the bugs away. And the bugs aren't real bad or anything here, except in the morning and the evening, which conveniently is like morning or breakfast and dinner time. That's probably why breakfast and dinner exist, because people would always cook in the morning and the evening when the bugs come out, because when you're cooking on a fire, like they would have done in the old days, you know, it keeps the bugs away. So anyway, yeah. Ken says, I'm gutting a house that's been around 125 years. I'm taking my time and not rushing because I want it to last another 100 years. Dude, make it last another 1,000 years. Totally, man. Yeah, don't rush that stuff. And it's really easy to get sucked into rushing. Like every house I've ever built, I've built several houses at this point. Like every house I build, I always have to tell myself at the beginning, okay, don't rush it. Because the easiest thing to rush is the foundation. Because it's like, when you're working on the foundation, it's like there's no house there. You have nothing to show. If someone comes and says, hey, how's it going? You're just like, there's nothing to look at. But I'm putting a lot of work into the foundation. You know, it's not a real, what's the word? It's not a real rewarding. I shouldn't say not rewarding. It is rewarding because you know it's going to make the thing, but it doesn't look like much when you're working on the foundation. And I have to admit that when I was working on this house, I probably should have spent another few days compacting the clay before I started actually building stuff. But I was just eager, and I did a pretty good job. But then once I started building, you know, the clay at the front of the house, there's just this little part at the front where I filled in clay. So it wasn't old clay. Most of the house is on like old clay, but there's a little piece at the front of the house that was on new clay, and I compacted it pretty well, but it started sinking like millimeter, like fraction of a millimeter, but enough to make the concrete have a little crack in it. So I had to go back and stick rocks like against the ground and sand and take a steel rod and pack it down in there to get it solid so it wouldn't keep moving. So really I should have spent more time on the foundation, but that just reminds me, make sure I do it all the time in the future, because it's so easy to not It's so easy to just to cut corners, to skip things you shouldn't skip. Dude, you're my idol? Oh, shucks, Steve. What happened to the houseboat? Well, the houseboat, I gave it away. And, I mean, it was... Okay, I didn't want to keep the houseboat because this is actually sort of an example of something that I didn't build right, that needed maintenance. So I built the houseboat with plywood covered in fiberglass. So, and this was because, you know, I spoke, I knew that this, this was a dumb thing I did. I asked other people how to build a boat, because I was like, I don't have enough experience to build this like 40-foot long, 26-foot wide, like 13-meter long, 7-meter, 8-meter wide, whatever it is, houseboat that's a couple stories tall. This is a big boat. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. So I asked people, and they recommended plywood with, you know, covered in fiberglass, which I will never do again. So I did it, and sure enough, you know, like there would be little spots where a tiny, like little hole or crack, just enough space in the fiberglass opened up that a bit of moisture got into the wood, and then it starts rotting. And then you get a soft spot because the wood kind of turns to mush. So at the beginning, I would like cut out the fiberglass, rip that out, rip out all the rotten wood, put a new piece of wood in there with some resin, fiberglass it back over, and then be like, okay, now it's good. And then I go, and after doing this a few times, I went to one of these boat builders, one of these guys who'd built several boats. And I said to him, Dad, what is going on, man? I have to keep making these repairs on my boat. And he's like, oh yeah, you just gotta cut it out, and he basically explained what I did. And I'm like, well, is there a way to make it so it doesn't do that? And he's like, oh no, that's just the way it is. That's, you know, typical maintenance. And then I remembered the saying that goes something like this: owning a boat is like standing in the shower with all your clothes on while throwing money down the drain. And I was like, yeah, if you're thinking like that, that's totally what it is. And then I realized, oh, I should not have asked anyone about how to build a boat, because I wouldn't have thought to put fiberglass over plywood. Because even when they were telling me, I was like, well, that's not going to last. They're like, oh no, this is the way to do it. So anyway, what was the question? Yeah, I went off on a pretty big tangent there. So I had this big houseboat, and I lived in it for like 6 or 7 years or something. Like, it definitely was financially worth it. You know, I put maybe $8,000 into building it, and then I lived in it for like 6 years, which ended up being not that much. Like, it would be pretty low rent per month. I'm not going to calculate that right now, like $100 a month or something less. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, financially it was worth it. However, when I decided to give it away, I was just like, this thing is just going to keep getting, you know, soft spots, soft areas that I'm going to have to keep repairing because of the way it's made, the material and the way it's made. So I gave it away, and I will never again build a boat with plywood covered in fiberglass, because it just, if any moisture at all gets in there, the fiberglass just seals it in, and it just turns into this rotting mess in there. So yeah, the houseboat is no more. It was a pretty cool boat though. Hey there, Jaimie, I did it! Oh, I copied your idea for a stainless steel shoxel. I presume that was a typo. What would a shoxel be? Anyway, a stainless steel shovel from reclaimed scrap materials. It was amazing watching the flat sheet take on this awesome new shape. I love it. Oh, that is beautiful. I want to see a picture. Can you email me a picture? I would love to see a picture of your stainless steel shovel. That is awesome. Man, that's really cool. Ever considered making a dragline crane dredge? Yes. I did at one point make a sucker dredge. which it's basically a tube with a little propeller at the end, but like a really strong propeller that could hit, you know, wood and rocks and stuff without breaking, and it sucks stuff up into the tube, and then the tube has a side squirter off, and there's like kind of not an impeller, an expeller, I guess, spinning around there that shoots the stuff out the tube, and then it goes somewhere, and you know, it basically sucks mud up and spits it somewhere. Although I don't use it that much because it needs to suck up a lot of water. So if I'm trying to clean out the canal or something, I'd rather get in there with a bucket and get like as dry material as possible and dump it on the land, so then it actually builds up some land, you know. But a drag line is another thing to think about. But I don't know. I feel like that's one of those situations where I'd be putting a lot of energy into something that I wouldn't use that much. So in that case, I feel like it's better to just suck it up, jump in the water, and use a bucket, which works really well. You take a bucket, put it upside down into the water so it's holding air, and you shove it down to the bottom, still with air in it. And then as you tip the bucket, the air escapes, and that means it sucks in whatever's down there. So if you take a bucket and shove it right down onto some muck and then tip it right side up, it'll suck the muck right into it, like with pretty good suction. So then you can pick up your bucket and it'll have like a lot of solid material and not that much water. Although I could, of course, make a machine that does that. Then I wouldn't have to get in the water. But whatever. I do kind of want to make a crane, although I haven't yet been able to justify the amount of energy and resources that would go into making a crane. Because, I mean, it would be awesome and fun to do, but not all that useful, you know? I need to get into some more things where a crane would be more useful to be able to build one. Or get to a point where I'm done all the more important projects. I'll make a flat pointed one soon too. Oh, this is the guy who made the stainless steel shovel. I'll make a flat pointed one soon too. Cool. Yeah, dude, I totally want to see your stainless steel shovels. Maybe next week I can show them by holding pictures up that I don't have, because it would be electronic ones. I don't know. Oh, okay, regarding the bridge. Ooh, I've made some progress on the bridge. I should talk about that a little bit. Let's see. Regarding the bridge, I think a concrete bridge would be great. Save the aluminium mass for something only they can be used for, like a crane. Yeah, that is definitely something I was thinking, and I've begun creating a masonry bridge, and I'm making it out of styrocrete. Let me see if I can. Ooh, I have a drawing. Hold on. I'll be right back. Oh man, my leg was asleep because I was sitting on it. It's okay though. Okay, I have started making a video or two about the bridge, and this was one of my what do you call it? Visual aids. Wait, there's a good one on the other side here. So this is a side view, of course, and I've decided to make big bricks. And this was the first drawing I did, and this actually ends up being the exact number of bricks I'm going to make. So I'm going to make these out of styrocrete, and the whole thing's going to be, on the inside, it's going to be 6 feet across, or 2 meters-ish. Well, it's just under 2 meters. And about 3 feet high here, so about 1 meter high, which makes these like 1.5 feet on the skinny side, and then I don't know what they are on the bigger side, but whatever. And I've got these started. I guess I could show you. I've got 4 of these made, although I'm going to need 10, not just 6. Because I'm only making them like 4 feet long, like this direction, 4 feet long. So this is like just over 1 meter, And I want the bottom of the bridge to be like 8 feet wide, which is like 2.5 meters-ish. And then it can get a little skinnier as it goes up. So I'll need 2 full ones at the bottom, 2 full 4-foot sections at the bottom. And the next piece up can be like 1 5/8, and then the next one 1 3/8, and 1 3/8, and 1 5/8, and then total 2 for this total 6-layer thing. And hopefully my connection is not terrible. This is gonna get fuzzy for a second, well, pixely while I'm moving, but let's see if we can get over here. Right under here, I've got some pieces. These look so small on that tiny little screen. So there's my hand. And these are about, I don't know, 6 inches thick, at least. And I've got 3 of them here, and they're, pretty long, 4 feet long. All right, let me go back and sit down and see if anyone actually saw what I was just showing, or if it was too pixely. Hopefully it wasn't too pixely. All right, hopefully everyone saw that. Anyway, those are the bridge bricks, which are here, and I can make 1 a day. I mean, I could obviously make more than 1 a day, but I just made 1 mold. Well, let me show you my mold too while I'm at it. All right, this is gonna get pixely again for a second while I run over here. Oh wait, that's right, I have to turn the camera around. Okay, so here's the mold I have. And it's just a really simple thing. It's like basically a feed trough, for pigs or something, except I don't have pigs. I have styrocrete stuffed in there. And it's lined with plastic, and then I've got tiles laying on top to kind of compress it, to give it a good shape. And I was very excited about clearing that space on the floor. Let me back up for a second. Like this takes up a decent section of my floor. And for a while, I was making styrocrete panels here. And those styrocrete panels were for my kitchen thing, this thing here. So I finally put this together, and I was so excited to get the floor back. But now it's turned into bridge makings. I'm trying to hold that still enough that it has a chance to depixelate. So hopefully it did. Anyway, part of my floor is being used up again, but it's for a good cause, for the bridge. And I can make 1 piece a day because after about a day, it's strong enough that I can pick it up without risk of it breaking. Because man, that would suck if I went to pick one up and it just broke in half. Oh, I'd have to re-grind it all up again and make it again. Yeah, so 1 a day. So if I need 10 of them, I've got 4 right now. In a week, I should have enough pieces. Oh, that's going to be exciting. Because where I'm going to put the bridge. So where I'm going to put the bridge, the ground is kind of like swampy. Not really swampy. I mean, it's really solid. It's just, it gets underwater during low tide. So I'm making this walkway out there with dirt, and I'm like right up to where the bridge will start. So I'm kind of like dumping dirt off the sides and stuff if I want to keep digging. So I've got a lot of dirt there. It's totally ready to go. I just need these blocks to put in, and then I can get dirt there and there. Oh, and I'm not going to attach these blocks to each other. So one of the concerns I had with making a masonry bridge was that if the ground shifts at all, the bridge is going to crack. Oh, hold on, someone's yelling at me on the walkie-talkie. All right, what are you guys talking about? Did one of the kids just say something and then Mama yelled, "No, he's busy doing a thing"?
Yeah, it's not that important. I do need to see.
You guys are hilarious. All right, I'll talk to you when I'm done. Over and out. I love kids. They're hilarious. So I didn't want to make a masonry bridge that was like a solid thing, because the ground, it's not like unstable or anything, but it's like soft. So it's going to shift a little bit at some point, or all the time, or whatever. Not a lot, but a masonry bridge, it's not flexible at all. So it'll end up getting cracks. So that's when I figured, if I make these blocks and just make the angles the right angles so they fit together really well, then those angles will kind of give those blocks a bias to kind of help them line up right a little bit. And that way they'll always be trying to line themselves up right. And then when I put the dirt on top, that will hold in the sides, so that when something is on the top block, it won't push the side ones out. So the dirt and the masonry parts actually work together. One or the other would not work, but both together should work together very well. Does that make sense? Clear as mud, right? And I made a video about that. I'll put that up soon. Of course, I'm still working on it. And yes, I want to save the aluminium masts for something else, maybe a crane or maybe a tower. I don't know, something. So I was really excited to be able to save those. I don't remember the plywood in the houseboat. Oh, yeah. If you go back and watch the houseboat being built, it was plywood covered in fiberglass. It was a lot of plywood and a lot of fiberglass. Oh my God, it was so much fiberglass. Oh. How do you get any sleep with your brain constantly spinning? My brain is not constantly spinning. Well, I guess it depends. Like if I have a lot on my mind, then it can be hard to sleep. But if I have a good day, like a good productive day, and good things have happened, I get this satisfied feeling. And then when I go to sleep, I'm just like, that was a good day. Now I can just. But the only times I do have difficulty sleeping are days when, maybe I shouldn't say the only times, but usually if I have difficulty sleeping, it's because I don't feel like I did enough during the day. Like maybe if you have a day of traveling or something like that, that often is not good for my sleep, because especially if I'm traveling not under my own power. If I'm traveling like with a pedal board or something, then I feel like I did something and I'm tired and I can sleep. But if I get on a bus for 12 hours and it's basically the whole day, or an airplane. I used to take these 17-hour flights to China, and I'd get there and I'd just be like, I just did nothing for the whole day. I just sat there and tried not to murder myself. It was just boring. I did nothing. And then it'd be time to go to sleep, and I'd just be like, well, I haven't done anything during the day. I don't want to go to sleep. And then it would be really hard to get myself to sleep. But whenever I have a good productive day, I just have this really satisfied feeling, like, now I can just chill out and just go to sleep, after I eat a bunch of food, and it's like, now I can just recover and just, refill my tanks for the next day of excellent stuff. Bust out another 1,000. BOAT, boat. Bust out another 1,000. Yeah. So the way boats are built today, it is insanely stupid. I'm just going to say that. It's insanely stupid how boats are made today. Like they are made to need maintenance. So I got that big sailboat a little while ago. That's where I got the masts. I cut the masts off it and took off all the stainless steel cables, which are now in my house, like wrapped around my house. And I got a lot of stuff off it that was worth more than I paid for it, for sure. But and I wanted to do something with the actual boat itself, the boat hull itself. But every time I went in there and looked at it, I was just like, I can't believe how poorly this is designed. Like, it's designed to need maintenance. And then I was just thinking, of course it's designed to need maintenance, because today's world runs on maintenance. Like, you buy something and then you have to keep, everything's on a subscription. You can't just get something. And this goes back to what I was talking about in my opening monologue. You know, do things to last, so you don't have this life where you're just stuck running around on this treadmill just trying to keep up with maintenance all the time. You know, do things that last, that aren't going to need maintenance. It just makes so much more sense. But everything we buy today is made so it needs to be maintained and replaced and constantly, because people are making money off that. So the way boats are made today, they're made to need insane amounts of maintenance. Like the sailboat I had, I don't know how many through holes it had, but it was just the entire idea of a through hole in a boat it makes no sense to me at all. For anyone who doesn't know, modern boats today have these things called through holes, which are holes in the boat. And these are holes to like let water in to, you know, cool off the engine, or to let water in to flush a toilet, or to let the toilet go out, or for various drains of things. Like, I knew a guy with I think it was a 60-foot boat, and he said there were something like 30 through holes, like 30 holes in the hull of his boat. And these are always what fails on a boat. Like, if a boat has sunk, it's generally the seal on a through hole, or some pipe got a leak they let water in. And then people's boats rely on these pumps to pump the water out that's leaking through these stupid through holes. Like, it's so dumb. And there are totally other ways of doing all this stuff. Like, there are other ways to get water in to cool the engine and have the drains work without just holes going directly through the bottom of the boat. But they don't bother, because then you wouldn't need to have so much boat maintenance. You wouldn't have to spend so much money, and they wouldn't make so much money off all these stupid boats. But yeah, the way modern boats are designed, it's totally insane. Holes in the boat. Get rid of the holes in the boat. Do not put holes in the boat. It's the dumbest thing you can possibly do. Okay. This guy, he calculated how much my rent cost. So I lived in my houseboat for 6 or 7 years, and it cost $8,000 to make it. And he says my rent was about $111 a month, or it would have been equivalent to that roughly when I lived in the houseboat. So yeah, financially it was a pretty good deal. Still, it would have been cool to keep it, but I would have had to. If I made it now with the knowledge I have now, I could have made it to last for sure. But at the time, yeah, whatever. You know, stuff happens, and then you move on and learn. I guess that's the big thing. Whenever you make a mistake, the important thing is kind of not to find excuses and figure out who else's fault it was. It's to learn from all your mistakes. Don't worry about whose fault it was. This is a great stream. Oh, thanks, man. Shipwrecked monkey. I like your name, man. Funny that we were just talking about sinking boats. Thank you for your great answer to my dragline dredge question. Could the crane go onto your electric dozer? Well, I could put a crane on my electric dozer. I've thought about it. I would definitely have to have, feet that come down and would, enlarge the footprint, like stabilizers that come out or whatever. But I don't know, when I get to a point where I want to use a crane, I'll have to really think about it. The way I usually think about it, like if I just think about making a crane off the top of my head, it would be something pretty big that would lift stuff really high, like to make it worth actually having a crane, because I don't want to get a crane to do something that I can just do with my hands. Like, it's got to be able to lift something really high and move it, swing it around and whatever. So the way I think about it, it would be something like a pretty big thing that wouldn't move around a lot. Like I could, kind of close it up, pack it up or whatever and roll it somewhere else or whatever. But it would be basically stationary. And I would probably park it over where I park my boats and use it to unload materials or pull boats in and out of the water and stuff like that. And then occasionally I might need it for something else and then I could move it. But it would be mostly a stationary thing. At least that's the way I think about it. Hello again from Norway. Hello to Norway. Don't forget to hit that like button. Get Burgett. It says you should all hit that like button. Yes, sweet. The bridge will be awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited about the bridge. So I showed the Styrocrete bridge brick pieces that look a bit like this, although they're actually going to be a little thinner this way than the picture. But I'm not going to put them in just Styrocrete as they are. I'm going to smear mortar around them so they actually look more like bricks, and it'll keep them durable, so something like birds don't start pecking at the Styrocrete and pulling it apart or something. So I'll coat it with that stuff. I was also thinking, while we're talking about the bridge, looks like this is slowing down. Okay, so once I get I'm like totally getting stuck here, aren't I? Pixelating a little. Okay, once I get the bridge together, I was thinking about putting some plastic mesh reinforcement over the entire outside and then smearing one extra layer of mortar over the whole thing. And that layer of mortar, that top layer, would end up cracking, at the spots where it's flexible. But it should just be little cracks. And it should just kind of keep it, I feel like it'll help keep it together, keep it from shifting too much. Because I don't want like one of these to start like sliding down, and the other one sliding up or something. So it would be good to have something that goes across, just to kind of, it wouldn't even have to be that strong, just to kind of keep them from shifting. And then it would also seal the cracks between enough that dirt's not going to fall through and slowly get lost through the crack. So I don't know. I'm still gonna. I'll figure it out when I put it together. But I think it's gonna be really good. They looked fine. Oh, good. Yes, we saw it. Good quality. Okay, I'm presuming that's when I was in the bathroom showing the brick pieces. Good to see the new bridge progress. Yeah, I'm really excited about the bridge. Oh, and I made my kids a scale model of the bridge pieces. So I made them 6 blocks. Hold on, I know where 2 of them are. So this answers a question that I get sometimes about how do I teach my kids. Well, various ways, but one of the things I do is whenever I'm building something, I try to get them involved. So I made them 6 of these blocks, and I don't know where the other 4 are. They go like this, because the kids were playing with them all day yesterday. They were so into it, and they're like, they put the whole thing together and smush it on the top to, collapse it, and then they put it back together, and then put a piece of Lego across the bottom and put a piece of Lego there and there to keep it from sliding out. And then they could stand on it and be like, wow, that's cool. And then, it's just playing with this stuff. And you learn so much just playing with practical objects like that. So they have a decent understanding of how an arch works now. And then they're going to see the real life application. And I really love doing that kind of stuff and getting my kids involved and having them see the whole thing. Man, when I was a kid, I would have been so psyched about that. Wait, what was I answering? Yes, talking about the bridge. Regarding building community on the island, that's always a big topic. Okay, are you going to send your kids to university, or do you think homeschool is enough to keep the level of IQ in the next generations? Well, I definitely don't think they need to go to university. I went to university and I could not imagine a bigger waste of time and money. I mean, I basically learned how to make the world what it is today. And there's so many problems today. And going to university, I see why people are making a lot of the mistakes they're making, because that's what we're taught. We're taught to do the dumbest things, and it all comes down to money. Like, people are making money off selling garbage, teaching people garbage. So we're basically taught at school to be wasteful and do things in dumb ways that only plan ahead, like to the next election cycle and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm not sending my kids to university. If they want to go to university, fine, but I'm definitely not pushing that on them. And when they ask me about it, I give them the real answer. Like, I went to university, it was a complete waste of time. I mean, I learned more doing stuff on my own. Like, I learned so much more doing stuff on my own that in all my classes at university, I ended up not even attending, because I'd already learned way more than they were teaching. And most of the stuff they were teaching was just obedience. And whenever I talk about school, I always say, school is basically like, every class is obedience training with a side of math, obedience training with a side of English, obedience training with a side of art. Every class is obedience training, which is not what we need. We don't need people being obedient. We need people, especially today with all the problems we have going on, we really, really need people who are thinking for themselves and solving problems, not just going along with the problems we currently have. But, if one of my kids really wants to go to university, I'll help them do it. And I'm definitely not going to encourage that. And I also think there's just the way people think about university and school today. There's this idea that if you don't go to all this schooling, you're not going to be smart. You won't be able to solve things. But like, none of the stuff I've done here, I learned in school. I didn't learn any of this in school. I learned it all by doing things myself, getting involved with projects, and biting off more than I can chew, and then fighting my way through. All stuff they teach you not to do at school. At school, they teach you to have the answer, to have a snappy answer. You sit in your test, and it's timed, and you've got to have the answer quickly, and the answer has to be what the answer is supposed to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be the real answer, just the answer the teacher's looking for. And I learned that lesson a long time ago when I was a little kid. I must have been in like grade 4 or something like that. And I was always having problems at school. Like, I get in trouble all the time, and my report card would come back with a couple of D's on it. And my dad, I was having a discussion with him, and he said, "Look, you don't write down the answer that you think is correct. You write down the answer that the teacher wants." And two things happened then. One, I got really good at school right after that, because after that I was just like, that's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard, but okay, I'll just try to write the answer the teacher wants. And then it was like straight A's across the board. The other thing I learned was that the world is disgusting. Oh, that was such a disgusting thing. Don't do what you think is right. Do what you're told, is basically what that was. And that is how our society today is just, it's going over a cliff. Like, we're going down the toilet, man. We're destroying everything around us. We're wasting all our resources. We're just doing really dumb things. And it's silly, because we have so much that we take for granted, and taking for granted is one of the dumb things that we do, that we learn to do at school. And it's just so much potential today, and we can't really get that potential if we just keep doing what's expected of us and what we're told, and going along with the status quo. We really need people who are going to say, well, I don't care what the rules are. I don't care about any of that. I mean, maybe the rules are good, maybe they're not, whatever. That's not important. What's important is for me to do what I think is right, and to think about what I think is right, and try to figure out what the right thing to do is, and then do it, and put my heart and soul into that. Because if you think about it, if everyone on the planet just had the general the general notion that they should be doing the right thing, I mean, the world would be amazing. This would be an amazing place, and it is an amazing place. It's just we're not behaving in a sustainable way. We're taking what we have that's amazing now, and we're degrading it every day, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. And at some point, it's going to get so bad. I mean, I would say it's already so bad. You know, a lot of people are losing their homes to foreclosures and things like that. There are too many people either starving or eating crap. Like, so many people eat garbage, and it's terrible for their health. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but yeah, I don't think school is the way to go, man. We need people thinking for themselves. Morning, Jamie. Hey, Jeff. Oh no, I pushed the wrong thing. Okay, good. Richard says, love your videos. Mate, keep it going from down under. Hey, Australia. I'm presuming that's the down under he's talking about. Boats that do not need maintenance. Construction cruise skiffs that are welded aluminum plate. Those are almost forever solid. Yeah, and they belong to construction crews because they don't want to deal with all that crap. Like all the consumer boats, all the boats you buy. Can I get one of those construction boats? Anyway, all the boats that like normal people can buy, they just build the maintenance into them. I want to look into these construction boats or construction crew skiffs that are welded aluminum plate. That sounds great. Built-in obsolescence. Yeah. The world is just full of built-in obsolescence today, planned obsolescence. And it weirds me out. Like, it kind of frightens me a little bit how many people think that planned obsolescence is like this myth. Like it's not a thing, but people see it every day, all the time. Like it's all around you. Everything you go to the store and buy, it's all got built-in degradation so that you have to buy another one. Like, why do cars last 5 years? Because that's how long the car loan usually is, and they just want your car to last long enough for you to pay it off, so that hopefully you'll keep paying it off, and then it can just turn to crap after that. Tools, man, you buy tools today. I don't buy tools today. I don't buy new tools ever. I shouldn't say ever, but I try to avoid buying new tools, particularly hand tools, like pliers, for instance. Because the last pair of pliers I bought at a store, I broke the handles off them. Like, I just squeezed it in my hand and it snapped the handle right off. And I didn't even think I was squeezing that hard. And, it would be nice to be like, whoa, I'm just the Hulk. But I know I can squeeze all my old tools as hard as I can and they don't break. But the modern tools, you squeeze them and they break because they make crap now. People are not making things to be the best or to last the longest. They're making them to make the most money. And the thing that makes the most money is the thing that doesn't last, the thing that falls apart. So you have to buy another one, and another one, and another one. And the more they can get you to buy them over and over, the more money people make. So that's what we're doing today, and that's what I learned how to do at university. And that's what people need to stop learning. People need to stop doing that. People need to start thinking for themselves and saying, you know what, that's a stupid idea. That entire system doesn't make any sense. I'm going to get out of that. So instead of buying all this stuff over and over, you know what? I'm just going to start making stuff. And I'm going to make stuff to last. And then when my stuff lasts, they're not going to be making, all the companies that are making money off all of this disposable stuff, they're going to make less money. And if enough people committed themselves to doing things that last, it would stop being so profitable to make so much disposable stuff. And maybe it would start being more profitable to make long-lasting things, because people would care. They would be like, I'm not going to buy that cheap crap no matter what. I'm only going to hold out for something that's going to last, or I'm going to build it myself. So there's got to be a niche market there, and maybe that'll start growing. Facebook says, hello, adventurers. Your name is just Facebook? Honeydew Carpenter. Honey, Do Carpenter? No. Honeydew Carpenter has a really cool mobile crane that he built. Well, maybe I'll have to check it out. I love the smell. I'm totally not going to remember that. I'm not going to remember to look that up later. But anyway, I love the smell of a freshly painted room or freshly cut wood or even soldering flux. What are your favorite ABC smells? Well, there's this one kind of wood here. I'm not sure what kind of wood it is, but man, it smells amazing when you cut it or when you burn it, because I always cook with the leftover cutoffs. Man, I don't know what it was. But I had some pieces of it recently, and my daughter was here when I was cooking, and she was like, "Oh, what's that amazing smell?" And I'm like, it's the wood I'm burning. I don't even know what it is. I just found it, and I cut it up and used it for some stuff, and I'm burning the leftovers. Oh, it's such a good smell. Now let me think. What are the adventure builder smells I really love? I think my favorite smells are just like nature, like outside. Yeah, I mean, I can smell outside here because, there's a window open right there, and then I get the breeze from outside. And yeah, just the natural air that's been circulating around lots of plants, and it's just clean and really nice to breathe. When you live in a city and you go out of a city into a place with clean air and you smell the clean air, it smells very different. And it's easy to take it for granted when you live in it all the time. So I try not to do that. But yeah, clean fresh air, man. Just like clean fresh air that's been around plants. So good. That houseboat was definitely one of my favorite builds. Sad to hear it had to go. Which is funny because your name is Liquidator. I'm sure someone will understand the irony in that. Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to have built the houseboat to be something that I could have kept that would be a long-lasting part of my thing here, but yeah, I just didn't have the knowledge at the time. And I can't even say that. If I had just built it the way I thought I should build it, it would still be here now, because I would have built it in the way that it would have lasted. But instead, I maybe this is where people having more confidence come into play. Like if I had enough confidence to trust myself to build it at the time, I would have done a better job. But I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing, so I asked other people and got some questionable advice and, built something substandard. Still, I mean, it was a really cool thing for a while. But yeah, you're right. It would be really cool if it was still in operation here. I mean, hopefully it's doing something good. Looks like a steep grade on the bridge. Sure, it needs to be that tall? Oh, okay. You might not have caught onto the bridge, but the surface you go across is just this up here. And I'll even make it less steep than that, because where I'm digging the dirt right now, it's like 3 feet tall. It's over 3 feet tall. I don't know, it's about 3 feet tall now. So it won't have to slope up much to get over the thing. However, I do want the dirt to slope up and have the top of the bridge higher than the sides, so that water runs off the bridge and doesn't pool on it, because then it might, if it pools up there and then I drive across, it'll have the pothole problem. You know how potholes form? For anyone who doesn't know how potholes form, like in a dirt road, if you have a dirt road that's like super smooth and nicely sloped, when it rains, the water runs off the sides and cars can drive along it no problem. But if you have a little depression, water will pool in there. So you get a little spot where there's water, and then someone drives along and their tire splashes through and splashes some of the water out, but also splashes some of the dirt out. And then, that happens 450 times, and it just slowly keeps creating this bigger pothole. And the bigger the hole is, the more water gets in there, and the more it turns into mud, and the more stuff splashes out every time a tire runs into it. So, yeah, I want the top of my bridge to be up so that water runs off and down the sides, so I'm I'm not eroding the dirt on the top of the bridge. Although I also want, so I want to make my bridge like this with dirt over it, and then I want to have Bermuda grass, or like golf green grass, growing all on top of it. I think that'll be good. And then the roots from the grass should hold the dirt all together. And when it's all together like that, and the grass is in there and it's got the roots holding the dirt together, the bridge should actually function even if I took the styrocrete bricks out from under it. It should still hold its shape. Now the problem with doing it just like that is that the dirt would start falling off the bottom, and then it would eventually fall out. So the bricks obviously have to stay there. I'm smoking a joint for you. I don't smoke those at all, but I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. Do the styrocrete blocks float? They probably will float. So I'm making these styrocrete blocks out of styrocrete, which will probably float. And the water level does, during like really high tide, it'll probably come up, I don't know, part way up the first block. But there's going to be so much other weight on top of here that even if the water came way up here, like all the dirt on top will hold it down, keep it from floating away. I'll make sure I put enough dirt on top of it that it won't float. But yeah, speaking of the styrocrete blocks floating, I think this would take a lot of material, but I want to make a big styrocrete floating dock. I think that would be great. Man, that's going to be a lot of grinding. Sunday morning wake and bake. Oh, he's talking about the, I am late, fell asleep. Oh, it's Toe Meters. How you doing, man? You can sleep through this. That's totally okay. Sleeping is a good thing. But we would miss you. Yes, both coffee with chocolate milk added. Ran out of regular milk this morning. Oh, I actually don't drink coffee, but I do drink chocolate milk. I haven't had milk in a long time though. I don't usually have milk. College is to find a mate, not to learn. Yeah. So I went to university hoping, well, there were two things I was hoping for. I was hoping I could learn some stuff and do some cool things, but that was all a bust. And then I was hoping also that I could find a lady friend with whom I could then build a life. And maybe it's the fact that I went to an Ivy League university, which was just, it was not, if I knew what I was getting myself into, I just would have gone somewhere else. Like I had full scholarship offers, like from track and field to lots of schools. I could have gone to lots of different places, but I went to the Ivy League school because it was supposed to be the best. Anyway, the women I met at this Ivy League school were more interested in just, making money, getting ahead in the world, running real fast on that hamster treadmill to, reputation, make a name for yourself, just all this stuff that just isn't important and means nothing. So, like I basically have no friends from university. I mean, I had a couple people I still talk to a little bit, but there's no one in my life because everything we learned there was all about, business ethics and being horrible and just nothing to do with anything truly positive. There was plenty of positivity, but it was all, fake stuff. There was just this underlying horribleness that just tainted everything. And I did have a few serious girlfriends while I was there, and every time I got to the point where I was like, okay, this is starting to get kind of serious, I would have to ask my question, will this lady be a good wife and mother? And I kept coming up with the answer, no, she won't be. She'll be a terrible mother. So yeah, university was a bust there. But maybe if I went to one of those universities, I don't know, is there a university that has people who don't just go there to get drunk and learn how to make money? I don't know. Question about bridge. Did you design a tongue and groove system on your bridge blocks so that they won't risk ones, basically so one won't slide, they won't fall in and stuff? Also, yes, I'll take a pic of shovel and email. Yes, thank you. I totally want to see your shovels. So the question is, did I design like a tongue and groove in the sides of the bricks, so this brick would kind of, you know, like Lego into the brick next to it, so they couldn't slide off each other. There's nothing built into the styrocrete. However, when I put the smear of mortar on the outside, I was thinking of doing it like this. So say this is one of the surfaces that's going to go against another brick. I was thinking to put my smear of mortar on there first and make it a little bit thick, and then take maybe a textured sawtooth thing and drag it across. So this would end up having, you know, like a kind of like little teeth going along it. And then when I do the mortar on the next brick that's going to face that one, I would take the first brick, put a piece of plastic on it, and put it against the mortar on the other one. And then the other one would get the matching sawtooth to fit exactly in the one next to it. So I might do that. I don't know, I think a lot of it's going to come down to how much I feel like doing that. Because I don't think that's actually going to be that important, but it would give me some peace of mind that the bricks aren't going to slide against each other. Another way to do it would be just put them together and squirt some spray foam between them all, and kind of glue them together, and the spray foam would be able to flex a little. And then also what I was talking about earlier was putting a piece of plastic, you know, fairly heavy-duty plastic mesh over the whole thing, and then putting mortar over the entire thing. That would kind of, you know, lock them together a little bit. Yeah, doing the thing where the bricks actually fit together sounds like a great idea, but I feel like it's going to be a pain in the butt, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I might do one of these other ideas just because I don't think it's going to be a big factor, them sliding across each other. Now, if I build this bridge without doing it, and like 12 years from now, one brick is sliding out, everyone can laugh. Hey, it's Scott. How you doing, man? Just found out my credit card expired. I'll fix that. I abandoned, and let's see. Oh, hey, okay. This is actually the guy who had the boat I was talking about earlier, right? About all the he had all these through holes in his boat. That's so funny that you're here right now. Okay. I abandoned and glassed over 13 through holes and got down to 7 from 20. She's still floating and runs. The old girl's almost 50 years old now. Yeah, so that thing had 20 holes through the hull. The boat he has, the yacht, it's a 60-ish foot yacht. 20 different holes going through the hull. And then he ended up fiberglassing over most of them. So he's down to 7. Probably the 7 that are left are ones to like cool the engine, for other you know, important things. But yeah, man, they just put so many holes in those boats. It's insane. University is far more useful if you realize that you are not paying for what you learn, you are paying for your transcripts. Yeah, some topics are easier to get in university classes. Deep genetics things. Wait, what? Some topics are easier to get in university classes, deep genetic things. I might have missed a part of that sentence. But yeah, basically what I was paying for when I went to university was the diploma, which I ended up burning because the diploma, it opened a whole bunch of doors. I shouldn't say that. It opened a few doors that are not open to most people. And none of those doors were doors I wanted to go through. They were all doors that led to this disgusting life that I wanted nothing to do with. So it was of no use to me. However, when I was at university, I didn't just waste the whole 4 years, you know, sulking or something. I just worked on my own projects and, you know, snuck into the university workshops and, you know, used the tools and stuff. I found ways to make it useful and valuable. I shouldn't talk about that too much because I may have done some illegal things. Nothing bad, but you know, stuff you weren't really supposed to do. Whatever. If people didn't waste so much Would you be able to live like you currently are? Yeah. Okay, so I gotta address this a little bit. So sometimes, I'm not saying this person is talking about this, but this comes up a lot where people will say, but if the world wasn't so wasteful, you wouldn't be able to get garbage for free or cheap to build things. The thing is, if the world wasn't so wasteful, there would be an abundance of everything. Like, it would be better. It would be much better if the world wasted less. It would definitely not be worse. It's not a situation where like you're only getting the free cool stuff because people are throwing it out. If people weren't wasting resources and energy and all this stuff, we would have more resources and energy and all this stuff. It would be easier to get, it'd be more available. Of course, we'd also have to stop this thing where a few people are in control of all the stuff and like to hoard it and, you know, make people pay as much as possible. We have to change a few things about our culture, which are ridiculous right now. But that all comes down to people thinking for themselves and doing what they think is right rather than just following the rules. And, you know, we have to get off a rules-based society and onto a morality-based society. Jaimie, take the time to read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. You will find a friend in the main character. I don't know, maybe I will. People have recommended that book to me several times, but I haven't read it. I feel like I have a pretty good amount of stuff to do. Like, maybe at some point in time, I will have things in my life set up in a way where I'm like, oh, I feel like I have this extra free time that I don't know what to do with. And maybe then I'll do some of these things, like read some of these books and stuff. But no, right now I feel like I have so many amazing things that I want to do. I could not possibly do them all. So like I'm choosing from like really, really cool things I want to do all the time. Would your styrocrete bridge blocks work to build a water tank or retaining wall? Yes, totally. Yeah. So I built two water tanks, two concrete water tanks, and they both work amazingly well. And I didn't line them with anything. It's just straight concrete. And when I first built them, I tried to look up on the internet, you know, how to build a water tank out of concrete that's going to work and doesn't need some plastic lining or anything. I couldn't find anything, so I just tried it, and yeah, just normal concrete works great. It has some ropes around the outside, you know, pulled real tight to reinforce it, and then that's it. But you could totally do that with styrocrete too. If I was doing it with styrocrete, I would definitely line the inside just with mortar, so I wouldn't want any styrofoam touching the water. I don't know if it would be a problem, but that would just be, I would not risk it, I guess. What was the other thing? A retaining wall? Yeah, you could totally build a retaining wall. So when I'm building these big blocks that I'm going to use for the bridge, every time I pick one up and look at it, I'm just thinking in my head, oh my gosh, these blocks would be amazing. Castle wall blocks, retaining wall blocks. There's so many different things I could build with these things, and they're really amazing because they're big and heavy, but not heavy like they would be if they were solid concrete. Like I could still pick them up, but they're big and heavy enough that I could put them somewhere, and they can build like a really substantial thing, really cool thing. My high school guidance counselor advice was to drop out and go to an adult high school my senior year. Wouldn't repeating a grade be better advice? Let's see, drop out and go to an adult high school or repeat a year? Well, I can tell you what I did in high school, the thing that I liked the most that I did at high school. So I went to high school, and then I graduated, and I did an extra year. And the extra year, I kind of went to school part-time. I also got a job, and I was still doing sports. And with not going to school that much, I still had a job, but whatever. I had enough free time to get into a bunch of projects, and I actually ended up working on some projects with some of my art professors and one of the drafting professors. Do you call them professors in high school? Now I don't know. Teachers? Anyway, I got into some really interesting projects with some of my high school teachers when I was kind of going to school part-time, and then I just started doing this other stuff. And that was one of those things where I was like, well, maybe I should just go straight to university because it's like wasting your time to take a year between. But I think it was really good to take a year between high school and university to just do some living and, do a job, get some experience working on some projects, and, do all that stuff. That was really valuable to me. That was more valuable than the previous several years of school or all my university. If you build stuff that lasts, when it does break, the company is long out of business as people never had to come back for a new one. Okay. Yeah, if I buy a screwdriver, if I buy a drill, and 462 years from now it breaks, and that company is out of business, so what? I think that's fine. And the thing is, and if we also insisted that things were made to be repairable, then you don't even have to have that company around to repair it. There are all these weird excuses and reasons and sayings for why we should have this disposable culture. This, it's got to keep the economy going. Why? Why do we have to have an economy that constantly grows? Well, it's because the Federal Reserve sells money to the United States and they can't pay it off. Literally, they can't. Anyway, there are stupid reasons for this stuff. Another question is, if things didn't wear out all the time, we'd make no new stuff and make no progress. But we would. We would make new stuff because it was better, not because it was just replacing the old garbage that we made last time. Because right now we're in a situation where we're making garbage, it breaks, and we have to replace it by buying a new piece of garbage. And companies have no incentive to improve things to make them better. They just keep making them worse and worse. Like, why is it that when I had Windows 3.1, it came with a video editor that could do everything I need to do? But now it doesn't. Now Windows does not come with a video editor that does everything I would need to do. Now it's like you have to buy some extra outside thing. They made it worse as time went on. And it also requires more computer resources to do less stuff and blah, blah, blah. If things were built to last, then the reason to make things better would be to make new things would be to make them better, not just to replace stuff that keeps breaking all the time. Let's see. I graduated on time. That's good. Favorite smell in shop is WD-40. Man, I could use some WD-40. I should get some next time I'm in town. The smell of nature mixed with the smell of construction is pretty awesome, Joel. That is a pretty cool smell, yeah. But I really love having the smell of the fresh air around. A modest life. That's hard. What does that mean? A modest life. What's hard about a modest life? Small footprint in nature. Very hard. Why? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. You're just saying it's hard. No easy answers. We have such power to create these days, and our level of responsibility handling that power. No easy answers. I mean, you're saying that's you. Okay, Lucas Richard Stevens. I don't want to be a jerk or anything, but you're full of crap. It's not harder to do the right thing. It's not harder to live a life that makes sense. When I first moved off grid, I was terrified of all the things that were going to go wrong because everyone told me you're going to starve, you're going to freeze, you're going to run out of money. All this stuff was going to go wrong. And, I go out holding back, like half starving with no money. Can I come back? I need to come back because I blew it and everything went wrong. As soon as I actually moved off grid, I realized how many things make sense that don't make sense in the artificial, imitation world that we live in cities. Let me just try to think of a few stupid examples. Okay, one, people in cities go to a gym to exercise, just to maintain their body, like just to make it so you don't die. Like you don't die of a heart attack or a stroke or whatever, or get so fat and fall down the stairs. Like just to maintain your body. People would get in their car, spend money to drive to a place where they're spending money, they're paying money to go in a place to put effort into just going on a treadmill, lifting some weight, putting something up and down back in the same spot it was, just to keep themselves alive, right? But then when you move off grid, you realize, oh, okay, when you're living in nature in a more natural environment, which is where we evolved to live, you don't have to come up with reasons to exercise. Like you just have an active lifestyle. And that way your exercise, instead of being something that you have to pay money to get, I gotta pay for the weights, I gotta pay for the gym membership, I gotta pay for the running shoes, I gotta pay for all this stuff just to get exercise. You realize that no, your exercise is effort that you put into making your life better. And so many things about living in a natural place are like this. And people who live in cities, and I was like this when I lived in a city, people who live in cities don't understand how well life fits together when you're not fighting against nature. And I could go on for like 3 hours about this stuff. But the basic point I'm making here is that no, it's not hard to live without destroying everything around you. Like, it's not. It doesn't make sense for everyone to be packed in a city that's full of concrete that just destroys everything in the area. And I've had this stupid discussion with friends over and over who live in cities where they say, "Oh no, a city is the most nature-friendly way to live because each person takes up less space." But the thing is, a person living in nature isn't annihilating the nature around themselves. They don't have to do that. You can live in nature and not destroy. Right over there's naturally growing stuff, and I actually take care of that stuff. There's more stuff growing around my house than there was when I bought this island. And the thing is, when you live in a city, it's so easy to not notice all the destruction that you're causing by living, the easy, enjoyable lifestyle. Because things are constantly being driven in. So, food is coming in from thousands of miles away, and it's taking up huge amounts of land, all this factory farm stuff. And then water's coming in and just like draining lakes and just sucking up so much water from like hundreds of miles around. And then the city produces mountains of garbage that has to be taken away and sent somewhere. And a person in a city could say, well, I'm not using up much space on the planet because I've just got my little apartment here, and this is my place, and this is the only spot I'm using, completely ignoring the fact that they're just destroying like acres and acres and acres of land out there with all the food that's coming in, with the water they're sucking in, with all the garbage they're dumping various places in the world. No, there are so many things that people say today that make no sense, that they just repeat over and over and over. Oh, not everyone could live in nature. Yeah, they could. They totally could, if we just decided to do it. Oh, it's you people can't do the right thing, and you have to destroy things to live. It's like, well, yeah, you have to consume something to live, but that doesn't mean you have to destroy things. Like, nature is really cool because it's set up for things to work together, to be symbiotic. Like, I'll eat a plant. And while I'm eating the plant, I'm breathing out the air that plant needs. And that plant is breathing out the air that I need. So we work together that way. And then I poop. And then the poop gets eaten by the plant and it makes more fruits or whatever. And then I get to eat the poopy fruits. And it works. It really works together. And, to sit there and say people can't live like that, when everything else other than humans, I'm sure there's some exceptions here, but everything else other than humans is living in this way that works together. And, we just have to destroy everything. No, we don't. We have brains. We can figure things out. That means we can figure out how to do things outside of nature and destroy things, which makes no sense. Or we can use our brains to try to make things better. It's all our choice. Anyway, let's see what we got going on here. I love that each material master is like a section of your show. One season is fiberglass, the next concrete. Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah. And mastering, I don't even know if I could say mastering a material. But yeah, I guess I could say, I've fairly much mastered several materials. But anyway, like getting a good level of competency with the material is a really cool thing, because you take that with you for the rest of your life. And now anytime I come up against some project, something I want to do, and it's a challenge, now I've got fiberglass in my head, and I've got concrete in my head, and wood, and just all kinds of different options I can apply to any situation. And the more of those I learn, the more different ways I can come at something. It's really cool learning that kind of stuff. I live in a 2-unit condo on the top level. It's strong and lasted since 1995 so far. That's nothing. 1995 was 20-something years, almost 30 years. Like, houses should last like 1,000 years. Why not? Styrocrete boat with leak pretty bad. I think it's supposed to say will leak pretty bad, I bet. How bad is Styrocrete? Oh, dude, you got to work on your typing here. How bad is Styrocrete absorb water as a general rule? Styrocrete does not absorb water, and you could make a Styrocrete boat that would totally work. Yeah, I don't see there being any problem. It's been a while. Hard to explain personal, but you've inspired me and helped me find myself. Have made some big changes past 2 months. Thank you. Oh, well, that's pretty cool. Oh no, I pushed the button again. Okay. After I finish making something amazing, I tend to stare at it in amazement for days. You find this true for you too? Oh yeah, man. A perfect example is my house. Like, every time I look up at the roof, I'm like, how is that? So my house is like 41 feet in diameter. And I still remember standing 2 stories up. 41 feet is like 13-ish meters across. I remember standing on the edge of the I remember standing 2 stories up on the edge of the wall. It's just a little ledge, standing up there, looking all the way across to this other side, thinking, how am I gonna make a dome that goes over this whole thing? It's crazy. And this was in the Adventure Builder movie, the movie I made about it. And now to look up there and just be like, that huge dome is like way up there, and it's been there for a year, basically unchanged. And yeah, it just blows me away that it's there. And I did it. I vaguely remember doing it. I know I did it. I'm pretty sure I did it. There's video of it. But man, it's crazy. Try not to get hernia. Okay, whatever. Learning places where people... Oh, this is when I was talking about universities. Learning places where people don't get drunk, are just there to learn and make stuff. Think the cool people are usually at conferences, incubator spaces, maker spaces, etc. kind of crapshoot, though. Yeah, it's hard to find. It's hard to find other cool building people who want to do interesting inventions and get involved in projects, just because they're rare for one, and they're often looked at as nerds or weirdos, which I've been called a million times. So we often end up keeping to ourselves. But it is really cool when you do run into another fellow weirdo nerd who makes cool things and does inventions and all that stuff. Like running into a fellow adventure builder is amazing. Dan Duval often waits on tomatoes. I'm glad you're here, tomatoes. Let's see. What's your internet setup on the island now? Do you have an aerial on the roof, etc.? I have an antenna that's up kind of like in the little cupola, whatever you call it, in my ceiling. And it aims at Deshaina's house. And she has an antenna that aims in this general direction. And then it connects through a thing to her main antenna, which aims at a tower that's like 15 or 16 miles away. I think it's 50, I don't know, something like that. And the internet works pretty well. Let's see. Have you given up on the combustion engine? Well, I do have a chainsaw. I have a gas-powered chainsaw, and I do use it occasionally. However, I don't like that I can't run it myself. And I know I could make like a wood gas generator or something and find some way to run it. But, basically I'm running it on gasoline, and I can't produce that myself. So I don't like that. But I haven't completely given up on combustion engines. But yeah, I steer away from them. Do you barter? I generally don't barter. If I have something that I can give to someone, I generally just give it to them. Like if I have extra food, I have a lot of cocoa plums right now. If one of my neighbors wants some cocoa plums, I just give them to them. Or if someone needs help, if it's not like a multi-day thing, if it's a couple hours of help with something, I'll just go help them. I don't need anything in return. It'll all even out in the end. If they have something they can do for me, I don't know. I don't generally ask for help, but if someone can help me with something at some point, great. And I like to try to make sure that I help people more than they help me. Just for my own conscience. Let's see. My voice is breaking up. Oh no. Hopefully it just messed up for a minute. I think the real answer to a lot of consumer-centric culture is actually really complicated tragic. At root, I think it's a way to distract and keep bad people from killing each other. The answer to a lot of consumer-centric culture is actually really complicated tragic. There's a lot of things that we're supposed to believe are complicated that just aren't. And the whole just the idea that we have a consumer society, like just think about that phrase, like we are consumers, like we just eat everything up, we just eat the world. It's a bad thing. We shouldn't be doing that. And it's not to keep. The sentence was a little bit confusing, but I'm not sure I totally understood what he said. But having a consumer society does not keep people from killing each other. It makes it so that, it's all based around a slave culture. Like, so certain people can control what other people are doing. Like that's the basic thing. And we don't call it slaves. It's just called, power. But it's all just comes down to slave. Jaimie, the sound is pixelated now. Rant slower. I hope that got better. Oh, voice is good now. Let you know. Oh, good. Thanks, man. All right, let me scroll back up to where I was talking about. Okay, that's where the sound messed up. Too many people don't think outside the box. They all stay in the constraints of what the rules of everything say. Yeah, totally. The average person, even like the average person plus like almost everybody just kind of does what they're told because they don't want to maybe get in trouble or have some kind of problems. And I totally know where they're coming from, because anytime you do anything amazing, the more amazing it is, the more people want to tear it down, which is part of the negative culture we need to get out of. See, if more people would just stand up and do their thing and not be afraid, it would become more normal, and it wouldn't be such a weirdo thing to build a big concrete house on an island or something like that. And doing stuff like this, I definitely feel a lot of pushback from certain types of people. You shouldn't be doing that. You're doing it wrong, and why do you get to do that? You're not allowed. Just a lot of negativity surrounding doing anything unusual. And I think a lot of it comes from people who have accepted kind of the status quo and gave up on what they wanted to do, and it makes them feel like they didn't get. It makes them feel bad about themselves to see someone else doing like what they wanted to do, because then that person feels like they missed the boat. But we got to get off that stuff. I'm developing a new formula for soft plastic style lures. Oh, but they contain no plastic and are 100% biodegradable and eco-friendly. Would you be interested in trying some out when they're ready? Yes, I would love to try out some fancy lures. Yes, totally, man. Sometimes when I'm driving my boat, I throw a line out and I drag it and catch some fish. I would love to try some biodegradable lures. I'll plug some lures, give you a bit of free advertising, but only because it's something I would use. I wouldn't do that for something I wouldn't use. Hopefully they'll work well. Sound is self-correcting now. Oh, good. What is the poppy fruit? Haha, the poppy fruit. Cocoa plums. That's what I was talking about. Oh, the poopy fruit. Oh, sorry, not the poppy fruit. The poopy fruit. Yes. Does anyone know where he is reading comments from? I'm reading comments just on this thing. So, PK Adventures, I'm reading your comment. I'm probably like 10 minutes behind because I haven't gotten to the end. Your off-grid lifestyle seems quite high impact. It is relative though. I would not say my off-grid lifestyle is high impact compared to, definitely not compared to the average person. Anyway, my lifestyle is quite like yours, Jaimie. My last comment was philosophical. I am sorry it upset you. We are trying our best. Okay, dude, you need to chill. Don't this is something people do that's not good. So Lucas Richard Stevens, your previous comment did not upset me. If I disagree with what you said, or I have something to say that disagrees with what you said, it does not mean I'm upset. And this is another thing that has to change in our culture. We should be able to disagree and have a discussion. Even if we end the discussion totally disagreeing, we should be able to do that without anyone being upset or angry or whatever. Like it should be. We should be in a society where we can talk about things and 100% disagree with no upsetness. So I was not upset about what you said. Don't worry about that. And don't place upsetness on me. If you're upset, you can say that, but don't decide that I'm upset. And if you're upset, I want you to know that I meant no offense. If I didn't care about you or your experiences in the world and stuff, I wouldn't express a differing point of view. If I didn't care about you, I would just placate you by just saying mm-hmm or just agreeing or whatever. But this show here is all about getting to the truth, and if there's disagreements, we have to be able to talk about them without getting upset. Not that I never get upset. I can get upset, obviously. Checking in from the Philippines. Hillbilly in the Philippines. Oh, that's great. I looked at going to the Philippines, but foreigners can't own land there. So I didn't. I wrote that. I took that off my list. How's it going in the Philippines? Hopefully it's good. It's a beautiful place. He is reading chat in here. He is a little behind. I am a little behind. Maybe I need to read faster. I actually like being a little bit behind, because if I catch up to the end of the comments, then I have to think of my own thing to say. Okay, that makes sense. Because of the correction delay and signal quality, I was just a bit confused. Yeah, it's mostly just I've got the comments here on the side, and I'm scrolling up through them as they go. And usually, I mean, the last few times, I'll actually catch up and get down to the bottom of the comments around 2 hours in, which would be like 10 minutes from now. I've been going for an hour and 50 minutes already, which is probably why I'm starting to slur my words and mumble. I don't normally talk that much. I'm proud to be a weirdo nerd. Good. We need more weirdo nerds, and we need it to be like more acceptable. So more of the weirdo nerds who are kind of hiding can come out. How is your new neighbor doing? He is doing great. So let me just read the rest of the question first. Are you planning on introducing him to us anytime soon, or is he a reserved kind of guy? He is kind of a reserved kind of guy. I did ask him, should I leave you? Do you care if you're in the videos? And he was kind of like, well, I'd kind of rather not be in them. So yeah, he kind of wants his own privacy, which I totally understand, because, I put myself in these videos, and then that opens me up to a lot of criticism from people all over the world. Also really positive things, but it is difficult to put yourself out, on a worldwide kind of thing like this, because you can get crapped on from anywhere in the world. But he's doing very well. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. He's doing really well. I have to get video of his boat. Well, it's my boat, but it's the boat he's using. It's the canoe that I built an outrigger on the side. This was a really good like 2-hour job building an outrigger. Man, I did a really good job. But it was because I had something left over from another boat that I didn't end up using. And he's got a little 4-horsepower motor on this canoe with an outrigger, and it goes pretty fast. I mean, it's just a tiny little 4-horsepower motor, which I think is great because it hardly uses any gasoline, and it goes pretty fast. Although after a couple of weeks, he was like, man, now I want a 15 horsepower so I can go really fast. Although on a canoe that size, it might be a little dangerous. Anyway, he's doing really well. The magic is in the learning, right, Jaimie? Oh yes, learning is like the best thing. And I've had this concept come up a lot in these discussions where people will say something to the effect of, oh, Jaimie, but what if I do something and it fails? I put all this effort into doing something and it ends up not working. Well, even if you put effort into like making something, for example, and it doesn't work, then you still learned so much from that experience. And often people comment on the fact that I never seem to fail at anything. And they're always asking me, how did you learn how to do all this stuff? Because everything you do, it ends up working out. Well, I think what you're not paying attention to is, well, a lot of the things I do, I don't know how to do when I start them. And I start them and they don't work out right away. Like a lot of things don't work out right away. But I keep at it and I'll change things and make adjustments and fix things. And then in the end, it ends up working out. But it wasn't just like a straight shot from like start to finish. It was like I had to learn and screw up a few times on the way and then get there. So often, I don't even remember what the original comment or question was now, but often when you want to do something, if you have problems and it ends up not working, you just have to bad at? Oh, it was about learning, right? Yeah, you learn as you go, learn from this mistake or this success or whatever, and that helps steer you down your path to success. All right, there's another thing here. Let's see. I mean that getting people to be good and not enslave people is actually really complicated. It's not complicated for a smart, good person to be good, but okay. Getting the bad people to stop trying to enslave you has more to do with not being enslavable. There are always going to be people who are going to try to do the wrong thing and try to enslave other people and just waste resources unnecessarily to try to give themselves some advantage over other people and just compete with everyone all the time and basically just wreck things. There's always going to be people who do that. The problem comes with the good people letting it happen. And that's the big problem. Good people who can look at what's wrong and say, well, I can clearly see what's wrong here, but I just don't feel like dealing with it, so I'm just gonna not do anything. That is the problem. That's where, I guess that's where the evil gets to take root. You know, the people who want to do bad things, they're always going to go around trying to do bad things. It's just when good people let them. And that's just going on all over the place today. The good people of the world are way, way too passive. And we're getting walked all over. So, I mean, it's all your choice. And, you know, it gets to a point where it gets dangerous to stand up to the bad people when the bad people get too much power. But then you have to ask yourself, is it more dangerous to stand up to it or to not stand up to it? Because when you don't stand up to it, it keeps getting worse and worse and more dangerous to stand up. So that the sooner you stand up to, you know, tyranny and whatever, the easier it is. It's just often a difficult, horrible thing to do. But you got to do it for your kids, especially if you have kids. If you have kids, you got to stand up and try to make the world a better place for them, even if it makes your own life harder. Question: when you were younger and would meditate to your optimal universe, I don't really have an optimal universe, is that some skill you could teach? Okay, so this would be like a 4-hour video to really go into it, at least. But when I was a kid, I meditated a lot. You're probably talking about a story I told at some point where I got into it a little bit. But I meditated to a point where I ran out of things to meditate about, and it's really difficult to explain this, but I called it the end of thinking when I was a kid, when I got to this point. And I was 15 when I hit the end of thinking thing. And I would not ever teach anyone to do it, because it was not something that is conducive to life. It was not life affirming or life promoting. If anything, it made life seem less valuable, and like there wasn't really a point to doing it. And it took me actually several years to kind of undo a bunch of that and get back to the point where I could see the value of life again. Because, you know, when you meditate and break things down enough, you get to a point where everything loses meaning. And if you do it too much, like, everything loses meaning and really nothing matters. And I wouldn't want to teach someone to do that. But I would totally teach someone to meditate in ways that will, put your mind in, like a zone where you can kind of achieve goals or fight fears. Maybe I should do videos on that kind of stuff. But I'd have to figure out how to put it into a video kind of context that would make sense for a general audience. It would be much easier to do one-on-one, where I could kind of read the person and see what they're doing. And now I've just gone into all floofy stuff. So let's get back to another comment. I think there are some very smart, good people hiding behind the scenes in very high places. They're just very hard to see. It's very hard to see. They let a lot of jerks be jerks for tragic reasons and hopes people will learn. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff going on, and a lot of good people are just. A lot of good people are letting a lot of bad things happen for various reasons. Sometimes it's just out of fear for their own lives, and sometimes it's out of just stupid reasons they've convinced themselves that often end up really just boiling down to fear again. That might not be true. I don't know, hard to tell. The world is stupidly large, is hard to make sense of. Okay, I'm not sure what that was talking about, something. Hey y'all, I made it! Blackwater boys, how's it going, man? Hope you're all doing well. I'm doing pretty well, I think. Criticism? Y'all mute anyone who says anything that's not flowers and roses. Who's y'all? Y'all me? I don't. I don't know what that comment's talking about. Well, then tell your new neighbor that a stranger said hi and hope he is doing well in his new life chapter. Yeah, so I recently, back to that, I'll explain a little bit. I recently had a gentleman come and move here. He was a YouTube fan, and he's been here, I don't know, probably like 2 months-ish now. And he got here, he got himself set up. He's doing well. He's doing really well, kind of figuring out how things work. He's kind of gotten past the oh my god stage, and starting to relax a little bit and kind of get into the life. And a few days ago, I went over and got him, and I was like, hey, you want to go swimming? I want to go diving. Just go diving. He was like, yeah, man. So he came out, and we got in my boat and drove for like, I don't know, an hour, just pedaling around looking for places. And then we dove for a while where there was some coral and some fishes and stuff, and just had a good time hanging out. And then came back, and he was like, man, that was so amazing. I can't believe this is like right near where we live. I mean, it's like right in front of our house. So yeah, he really loves it here. I think he's staying. Awesome. I'm working on making sure the lures will work amazingly well, so don't worry. But even if you hate them, I am happy for the feedback either way. Oh, I'll totally give you feedback. Yeah, if they work great or if they don't work great, or which one does the best, I'll totally give you feedback if you send me fishing lures that I can use. Great. Question, are you interested in Roman concrete? I am interested in Roman concrete. So I've done a limited amount of research. But from what I understand, Roman concrete, the big advantage with Roman concrete is that it doesn't weaken in salt water. And since I live on an island and I'm surrounded by salt water, that is very interesting to me. It actually gets stronger in salt water. So yeah, I would like to figure that whole Roman concrete thing out. I'm not sure where to get volcanic ash. Can I use like wood ash? Like what's the story? I need more information. I need to figure this out. Classic Dude Mike says, do you feel this stream helps you out as much as it does us? So you feel like this conversation here helps you? Well, I hope that's what you're implying. That's great. I do feel like it helps me, actually. Yeah, I like doing these like 2 hours. Well, now I'm over 2 hours already. Yeah, I like doing these YouTube live things, this live stream thing, much more than going through comments and trying to answer them. Just because I can get it all out in 2 hours and then just go back to my life. And plus, if someone has a question, I can say something and they can answer back, and we can actually have a conversation, rather than on YouTube comments where someone says something. If I respond, then it's like a day and a half later they respond, and maybe I see it and maybe I don't. I really like this format much better than going through the comments. And then here I also get get ideas back from you guys in a much more digestible way than trying to read through comments. So yeah, which I mean, I am reading comments, but they're the real-time comments. Let's see. Jaimie, have you read The Network State of Balaji? Oh my gosh. Srinivasan? You should start a new country. The book, which is online, is great and new and explains this and how it can be done. I don't know if I want to start a new country. Well, okay, if I was going to start a new country, I'd first have to have a lot of people here who would want to start a new country. And finding fellow adventure builders who want to come here and live and be adventure builders has proven to be a very slow process. Like, definitely not enough people here yet to start a country. Maybe a town. Adventure builder meditation. Yeah, maybe I'll think about making some adventure builder meditation videos. I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be like, shut up and go back to building stuff, which happens every time I make a talking video, but I'm just ignoring those from now on. Let's see. Hard to many sleepings. I don't know what that says. Okay. Have you heard of the networked state? The networked state? I don't know. Do you have any opinions on it? I don't know what the networked state is. Seems like the most intelligent attempt to fight back against a lot of modern dysfunction to me. View that crowd as the good guys. The networked state. Yeah, I don't know anything about them. Maybe they're good guys. Oh, a networked state is a highly aligned online community with a capacity for collective action that crowdfunds territory around the world and eventually gains diplomatic recognition from pre-existing states. So are there network states like that are like recognized by the UN, for example, or something? Not that I think the UN is that important, but whatever. Yes, Jaimie, I am the end of thinking. Perfect phrase for the feeling and concept. So to carry on with the stream. So to carry on with the stream helps, or the stream helping. Yes, it does. Because we share many common visions about the world, society, and how it's failing. It's comforting to hear you speak out my own feelings about it. Yeah, I guess what I like about this stream, this format, is I get to talk to people who are kind of along in the same kind of mindset as me. So yeah, I really like that. Yeah, it's great. ABC Commune, Adventure Builder Club Commune. I don't want to have a commune. There are problems with communism. Okay, so if you have a commune, that means everyone has to kind of follow the same rules, and yeah, there's problems with that. I want to have a community of individuals who can work toward the same kinds of goals, but not in as rigid a way as it would be if it was like a commune with like set rules and stuff. So maybe there's a word for that, or maybe there's a type of commune that's like different than any of the communes I've ever heard of, where it's more like just individuals kind of like working toward the same positive goals, each in their own way, sometimes working together, sometimes working separately or whatever. Jamocha, I don't know what Jamocha is. Adventures, awesome use of recycled plastic bags. Oh, PK Adventures. I don't like the cryptocurrency part of the network state idea. I think cryptocurrency is foolish. Well, you got a point there. I mean, cryptocurrency is just kind of based on nothing. It's just like if all the computers crashed in the world, it would just be gone. So yeah, I mean, there is definitely a fundamental problem with cryptocurrency. Like, it's a usable thing, but yeah, if there were ever like a big social crash, first thing to go. I've actually had a few people tell me that cryptocurrency will be the currency of the apocalypse. But I'm like, wait, the internet's not gonna work in the apocalypse, is it? I don't know. Are you sure your kids will be as smart and free as you just repeating your mantras? That question didn't really make sense. Will they be as smart and free as me just repeating my mantras? You mean if there was a me who just repeated mantras, would my kids be that smart? No, my kids would be much smarter than that. That doesn't make sense to me. Are you sure? Okay. He's asked the question again. Let me just make sure I can get this. Are you sure your kids will be as smart and free as you just repeating your mantras? So if there was a me that was just repeating mantras, my mantras, I don't really have mantras. Would my kids, am I sure my kids will be as smart as that? I'm pretty sure my kids will be way smarter than that, because that person would be kind of dumb. If I was just like sitting here repeating mantras over and over, yeah, I don't feel like I'd be very smart. Let's see. I would definitely be in on starting a new country. Having a large group of people that want to build and create and do good, who can bounce ideas off each other, would be amazing. That would be amazing. But I think the country starts with the people. Like, I shouldn't say if I had, they wouldn't be mine. If I was surrounded by those amazing people, that would be the thing more than the country. You know, defining it as a country and getting whatever legal rights or whatever, that would be secondary to just making the thing, like being in the thing, having the people, and collecting the people, all that. That's the hardest part of that whole situation. Could you edit a video of the construction of the canal at your new house? I would love to see it. Did you use that mangrove block extractor you built on the Shana's canal? Well, I don't know. I'll think about it. If you need more people out there, maybe you could build a casino on the island. See, well, that's the problem. Getting people here is not a problem. Getting the right people here, that is difficult. And that's kind of a standard issue problem. Like, anytime you want to start a group of like a specific thing that's not popular culture, it's hard to find the people. So yeah, if I built a casino and brought people here for the casino, that would not be the right people at all. Oh, the name of my country, Jamocha. You can make your own community is a new thing that you must look at. The book speaks about, and the author is a genius. Well, I mean, you make your own community by just having people, like having a community of people. I don't know what you mean by making your own community. And I don't know how a book is going to teach me to find adventure builders who want to come here and be adventure builders. We are limited to 200 figures ascendants. I have found it tricky to convey my messages clearly without misunderstanding. Yeah, totally. I get what you mean. Debate is wonderful. You are doing well to keep so many threads of thought going. It is a little bit, actually. That is probably the hardest thing about doing these lives. It's like, I have to talk about this and then that and then like a different thing. And when I'm actually working on different things, I sort of reboot my brain into different modes of working. Like if I have to do math, I'll reboot my brain into math mode, or into imagination mode, or into English reading thing mode, and So when I'm talking about things here, you may notice that every once in a while, I just kind of get stuck with my words. It's because I don't think in English at all. I don't think in that kind of language. So I always have to like find the spot in my brain that's thinking about the bridge, for example. And then I have to take it and translate it into English. So it's like kind of like brain gymnastics. Okay, concrete with wood ash works. Okay, I can use wood ash. Not the the conventional non-cement additive is fly ash. Being able to reach higher strength before entropy kicks in, then volcanic ash without rusting rebar inside seems best. I don't use rebar, so I don't care about that, because I don't use rebar because it over time it weakens the concrete, it doesn't strengthen it. It strengthens it in the short term, but it weakens it in the long term because it starts rusting and expanding and popping the concrete open. But anyway, concrete with wood ash works. So if I mix my concrete, my cement and rocks and everything with wood ash, that will make it react with seawater to strengthen it. I need to do some more research on that. Hopefully that's what he's saying, and that's true. You already have an online community, and it can become physical and crowdfund it really well. Please look at Lex Friedman and Balaji Srinivasan interview. A must for you. I'll see if I can remember that. A country starts with your principles, a Tao, and a currency, and some laws. Sorry to repeat, you must read this online book. Getting the right people is not difficult. The book is about that. Really, getting the right people. Well, maybe I'll have to read this book then. Can you email me the book? Oh man, I don't read much, but yeah, email. My email should be down here, theadventurebuildermovie@gmail.com. I check that regularly now. Well, when I build my solar sailboat out of single-use plastics, I'll head your way and say hi. Okay, cool. Okay, so there is an online community, yes, but an online community is not, it can't replace a community of people who interact in real life. It's definitely not a substitute. It's valuable, but definitely not the same thing. Well, let's see. Did you try night fishing with the light in the water? If I've been out on a boat with a flashlight, and fish will sometimes jump right into the boat or swim right into the boat and knock themselves out. I saw that happen once. But I haven't been fishing much lately, just because I have a lot to do. Jamie's kids wouldn't exist without him, so raising them in Panama is the deal, and he's a better parent than 90% of others. Not sure what that was responding to, but yeah, dads. There are 3 active volcanoes in Panama, so getting volcanic ash might be obtainable. I know where some volcanoes are, but yeah, it would not be a short trip to go get volcanic ash. I don't know if I could get someone to bring me some, maybe. I don't know. Oh my gosh, I reached the end of the comments. Usually I get to the end of the comments around 2 hours, but I've gone over. It's like 2:20. Okay, PK Adventures knows what I'm talking about. I stream on Twitch, so I definitely get what you mean about the brain gymnastics. Yeah, it's like every comment that comes up that's talking about a different topic. It's like, okay, I gotta load that whole thing into my head, and so I can talk about it. But this is kind of good practice for that. Finding people with integrity is very difficult these days. Yes, it is, Insano. It is incredibly difficult. And it's often made even more difficult because often people lose their integrity for what they think are good reasons. Like someone lied to me recently, and he said, "Oh, I just didn't have the heart to tell you the truth because you were in such a good mood about the thing that didn't end up working." But then, I ended up finding out it didn't work, and then I was just like, oh. And then I found out the guy didn't tell me it didn't work, even though he knew and saw me. And then it did not make me feel better. It made me feel worse. And I'm just like, man, don't lie to me to make me feel better. Just tell me the truth. Keep your integrity, man. So that kind of thing happens a lot, you know? Let's see. The DAO concept, crypto-based voting cooperation, is pretty cool, but I think there's a fundamental mistake in trusting the technology to be the basis of cooperation. Cooperation without tech is better. Yeah, I guess that's basically what I was saying about an online community can't replace a real life community for a lot of reasons. I mean, that's one. And another one is just if you're only online, there's very limited ways you can interact with each other. But if you're actually in real life with each other, there's so many more things you can do. I want to see that video with the fish swimming into the side of the boat and knocking themselves out. Yeah, I don't have that video. The guy who moved here recently, when we went on a trip to town in his boat, at one point, I told this a couple weeks ago, but at one point we were driving and I was sitting in the front of the boat and he's in the back driving. And suddenly I hear him yelling, and I turn around and look, and he's like, what the fuck? And he picks up this fish. And he's like, this just hit me in the face. It jumped out of the water and hit him right in the face. Unfortunately, I was not looking when it happened. Let's see, network. Let's see, it's always best to be honest with people, especially ones close to you. Yes, it is always best to be honest. And sometimes people accuse me of being cruel, but like I was saying to, I don't remember who it was now. I don't want to say the name in case I get it wrong. But someone here thought I was upset a little while ago responding to one of his questions that I disagreed with. But I think it's much more important to tell the truth. It's like I was honoring you by telling the truth that I disagreed with you. And yeah, I wasn't upset, and I think we should be able to disagree and honestly say that we disagree. And there's way too much censorship in the world right now, and don't even get me started on that. Have you ever tried advertising Craigslist or better, your desire to find adventure builders to join you there? You know, I used to do stuff on Craigslist. Craigslist isn't really active here, but I don't know if I've ever done things on Craigslist looking for adventure builders or like people to come here. I was kind of hoping, doing the YouTube videos would connect me with more adventure builders, but I don't know. It's a difficult thing to figure out. Maybe I need to read that guy's book. Jaimie, do you like fish sticks? Fish sticks? I do like fish sticks. I like making them and I like eating them. Ooh, delicious. They are kind of a bit of a pain to make, unless you get a big enough fish that you can get the meat off nice. All right, peace, brother. Have a good week. Best to all, Rolfie. Oh, that is Rolfie. I think he's signing himself, Rolfie. Cool. All right, well, I think, yeah, we're approaching 2.5 hours now. People have got to be getting sick of me by now. So I'm going to go see if I can do some interesting stuff with my day. This morning, I got up, and Deshana came over and grabbed the kids, took them off to her house because they were here last night. And after they left, I made one of my bridge bricks, and I got that done like half an hour before this. And now I'm going to go look around and see what else I have to do today. I'm going to have dinner at Deshana's house later. All right. All right. 2 more real quick questions before I go. Who you are preferred to see on your island, programmer or tank station market? I don't know what that question is asking me. Oh, lots of wood ash articles as warm up mentioned. I'm not sure if those use seawater. That seems to be the secret sauce. I've been curious about Roman concrete for a while. Your mind on it would be cool. Yeah, I mean, at some point, maybe I should. The problem is, it's going to take a lot of time to investigate making concrete with ash. So I'm kind of hoping someone has like done the study and like gotten it all set up and figured it out and can dispense that information. But if I have to do it at some point, I will. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm just trying to see if there's another short question I can say. A lie destroys the world, the truth builds it. That is a good place to leave. Oh, please repeat your email. My email should be in the description of this, but if not, it is theadventurebuildermovie@gmail.com. I'm like 99% sure that's correct, and I checked that. So I like what David Rubino just said. A lie destroys the world, the truth builds it, and I will totally agree with that. And even if you have good intentions when you lie, it often ends up causing a problem you didn't intend. Okay, I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon or morning or evening or night, depending on where on the planet you are. And I think it's amazing that we can even talk all around the planet from my little island out in the Caribbean Ocean. Okay, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I will say hi to Deshana for you, yes. You'll find all answers. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes. Okay.